Oh, we got a shakeup coming. Why not? Last week was not so good if you're in the top 10. A few L's. Purdue was one of those. Saw their 6-game win streak snap thanks to Michigan losing by 24. Coach K and Duke. You can thank Virginia's Reese Beekman for hitting that three-pointer with 1.1 and losing that one by 1. And Bruce Pearl probably still yelling, why not? They won 19 straight, but that one came to an end thanks to Eric Musselman in Arkansas on the road. Taking a look at Jerry Palm's top 4 seeds, Gonzaga has been rolling, no surprise here, 21-2 in the land. Auburn's still up there, able to bounce back Saturday against Texas A&M. Arizona, the Pac-12, still ahead of the class, have rolled off 6 straight, along with Kentucky doing the same in the SEC. All right, time to welcome in the man himself, senior college basketball writer Jerry Palm, to break this all down. And Jerry, of course, Gonzaga rolling right now, 14 straight. Chances they end up, though, as the top overall seed once it's all said and done.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gonzaga is dominating the West Coast Conference, which they often do. But this year, it has 3 other teams of possible tournament quality. So it's not like they're running through a league that's not helping them, which we have seen in the past. But they're actually picking up quality wins in some cases along the way. So Gonzaga has an opportunity to be the overall #1 seed. And really, it's based on what they did outside the league, which is really where they make their bones, but then also the dominance they're showing inside the league.
Yeah, the latest we saw, their latest win coming against St. Mary, who's 22 in the land, of course, getting that W there. All right, Jerry, let's look at the fan base concern level for tournament play when it comes to UNC. They're 4th in the ACC. If you're part of the Tar Heels fan base, are you worried here a little bit?
You should be, because this team has shown pretty conclusively that they can't beat tournament quality opposition. 0-7 in quad 1 games, and not necessarily all quad 1 teams are going to be tournament quality, but in this case, all 7 of those losses are to teams that are at least on the bubble, if not in the field. So, you know, that's pretty conclusive for the committee that this is not a tournament team yet. Of course, they've still got that game with Duke at the end of the regular season, and in the ACC, that's really how you prove yourself as a tournament quality team, is by beating Duke. And unfortunately, North Carolina hasn't done that yet.
As you mentioned here, of course, they do have the matchup with Duke, and then they've won 2 straight. So we'll see how that ends at the end of the year for UNC. All right, about West Virginia, second to last in the Big 12. 1-8 since January 15th, but they do have opportunities down the line here in that conference.
Yeah, that conference gives everybody a lot of opportunities. The problem is, at some point, you know, some teams are going to suffer from having too many games like this because they're not good enough to win them, and West Virginia is one of them. They're just 2-10 against quadrant 1 and 2 opposition, and that's not good enough. You know, their overall record is 14-10. They're the last team in my bracket today, but they're very vulnerable because they've not played well away from home. They've not played well against the better teams on their schedule, and all they have left is better teams on their schedule. So they're going to have to raise the level of play if they're going to have a chance to stay in the bracket.
They do have opportunities, as you mentioned there. How about Oklahoma? Just a game better than, of course, WVU. Should we be worried about them possibly?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. You keep mentioning the conference standings. I just want to point out, conference play means nothing to the committee. The only conference thing they care about is who's the automatic qualifier. Otherwise, you're judged on your entire season. Well, Oklahoma is actually 1 game worse than West Virginia, because West Virginia is 14-10, Oklahoma is 14-11, and that's not a good enough record to get picked. They also have a bad loss at home to Butler. So their resumes are a little different, but the look ahead is the same. Plenty of quality win opportunities ahead, and they're going to have to play better to get enough wins just to be selected for the field. And then, of course, if they're picking up wins, they're picking up good wins.
All right, so looking at, of course, at that conference, iffy for WVU and Oklahoma. How about in the Pac-12? Because Oregon, they're 3rd in the conference, but it might come down to the metrics when we're talking about those quad 1 wins for them, right?
Yeah, well, you know, they need quality wins for sure, but they already won at UCLA and at USC, so those are good wins. The problem for them is defending their home floor in conference. They're 3-3 in quad 3 games, all of them at home, all of them in the league, including the loss at home to California over the weekend. That level of inconsistency is killing their resume. So they have to win the games that are left on their schedule, home or road, against the teams that are not going to the tournaments. That's Washington, both Washington State games, and then take their chances against UCLA, USC, Arizona and try a resume build. But they have to quit beating themselves up by losing games like the one they lost on Saturday.
All right, Jerry Palm giving it to us straight. No chaser here at HQ. Appreciate it as always, my friend. Don't forget the conversation continues. The Iowa College Basketball Podcast. Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander, of course, breaking down some of those key matchups the closer we get to tournament time, as well how it might shake out maybe the Pac-12 and ACC. Is it just Duke? We'll see. Download and give the guys a follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.